margaritas down at the beach. Bam, we're live. I'm watching this. Brian, hi. Chase, hi. Souza, hi.
Up the day.
This is what you're seeing on the screen right
burst.
now. Here is the I think this is the Ride or Die event. It was an elimination event. They started with, I think, 20 athletes, then 10, and then 5. I think this is the final heat of 5. I wanted to show Brian, Chase, and Souza this. Look at Luka Jukic here. Watch what happens here at the beginning. So look at their feet, where their feet are at the starting line. I don't know if you guys can see that. They're over what looks like to be the starting line. We've had this happen before in events where we don't know really what the lines exactly.
Yeah. Is it on the line or behind the line? Brian, do you know what the...
But before Brian, hold on 1 second. We'll give you a bunch of stuff to answer. Give me 1 second, and then we'll get this. And I want you to watch Luka Jukic, what happens here. And I don't see any judges. It looks like there's a field marshal in the back with in that white shirt with kind of the funny Groucho Marx mustache. But let me watch Luka here. He's in between. He's just he's in lane number 5. It's the 13th widest lane. All the lanes are a little bit wider or narrow than the others, just to keep us on. I can't wait to hear how they mark this field. And okay, now look what happens there. We already have a guy on lane 8 who started to go. I would have loved to have seen Matt Frazier come out there and just like gut punch him, but whatever. And then, okay, and then look at that. Then the guy in lane 6 went. And I purposely turned off the sound, so we didn't get to hear that, so it's hard to do that. But watch Luka Jukic here. Watch what happens. Oh, no, this isn't the right heat. Anyway, in one of the heats, he takes off and he starts running, and he looks and he stops running, and the rest of the guys keep running, and he looks back. I'm like, it was like maybe the prince told him, "Hey, put on the brakes, buddy. You're not supposed to do this." Brian, hi. Absolutely fantastic event, Brian. I had to watch all 5 hours of it in 30 minutes. Commentating is fantastic. You and Derek are great. It was cool to see Matt up in the booth with you guys. And once you guys got past that first 30 minutes of the heavy lifts, I must say that we were really able to see the entire event and follow it. So I appreciate the fact that we're able to see all the athletes.
Some weird lighting or something.
It's kind of cool. It's like you're stuck in the 70s. You're like a little jaundice.
Good. Yeah, he looked good.
By the way, Derek doesn't make you look too small either.
Those words weren't on there when I got here. I've just been kind of bored, so I painted that myself.
It's beautiful. You did a great job. That penmanship. That's the Brian Friend font. Brian, just to talk about what we just showed quickly, what are the rules there? Is this kind of like more like, is this a serious, I mean, obviously it's a serious competition. The winner gets $3,000, but is there sort of like a kind of a gladiator, less Hiller-esque and more, gladiator vibe to this? Like, hey, take what you can, like in arm wrestling. It's like, hey, the hand position you got to fight for.
Chase, how many times have you been out here to Dubai to do the commentary?
I think 3.
Any patterns over your experience?
From the outside looking in?
Sounds like Brian's lost his virginity.
From the inside looking in.
He's looking for a friend to be like, wow, that was incredible.
I see some things and I'm like, yeah, that looks about the same, about as much information as the broadcasters get about what's going on when it comes to the action or the rules.
Well, I can tell you guys, I think that HWPO's involvement in this competition was really beneficial for me personally, because I was able to work with them a couple of weeks leading up to the event, test out many of the workouts, have some feedback and input there. They're working in collaboration with the event organizers for DFC to put this competition on. And of course, the event is funded by, an individual or a family here. And so there's just some input coming from different areas. Something else that I'm not justifying this, it's just how it is that being on time and being prepared for things as opposed to just kind of going with the flow is just different culturally here. And it certainly gets
like the Sevan Podcast. 30 minutes before we go on, I send you guys DMs. Do you guys want to, or text? Do you guys want to come on?
Yeah. And I mean, I knew that. I've been here one time before. Had a chance to work with Bill and Chase in 2019, and things happened very last minute. So I made it my priority getting ready for this to prepare for the things I could prepare for, which was to know as much about the athletes and the workouts. Given the fact that I knew there would be some late changes, which there were many late changes today, but also knowing that I wouldn't have an opportunity to speak to the director until very close to the event. If I did get to talk to him, he may not speak English. Many of the cameramen don't speak English. There might be a liaison that's kind of working between those things. We may not have heat sheets. We may not have graphics. We may not have audio. And that's just sometimes how it is. So a lot of those things are out of our control. But I kind of just came down to the point, and I was happy to hear you say that. I said to the guys, I want to see all the athletes lift. I want to see all the athletes finish. And if the people at home can hear our voices, can we at least check those 3 boxes?
And it is. You guys are doing a great job. And if they stick to the wide shots, we're golden. We can follow it like a sport. We can follow it like a competition. We can see how close people are. When you say someone's name and give us the lane number, we can just zoom right in. It's fine. It's better than fine. There are some weird, quirky things about it, like those feet, like over the starting line. The fact that sometimes we see someone take off and then look back at their judge, like they're not sure if they got an early start or not. But this whole thing, there's no chip timers, right? This whole thing is old school, right? They count claps. 87 claps, lane 7.
Man.
Yeah. Just put a little piece of tape on the air runner and it'll do the job.
and why? And is there any reason that the lanes are different widths?
Not any good reason.
Okay. The lines are straight. The lines are extremely straight. I didn't go out there with the protractor, but it looks like a lot of right angles to me. I'm no scientist. I'm no mathematician, but I see a lot of right angles.
Yeah, the lines are straight. The lanes are not even. Those are true facts.
And have you asked, or is it like the don't ask, don't tell policy of the 80s?
It's a pick your battles type of situation.
Okay. The workouts, let's talk about just the bread and butter. The workouts look like they are all going off on time with the right athletes with a very fierce Did I already say something that's not true? Did we get some people in the wrong heats? And the competition looks fierce and it looks fair. And, we don't have any weird judges on lane 5. Always everyone's getting the penalties. It looks like they're allowed to perform. It looks like the weights were picked accurately. Even though you were mentioning you guys were surprised at how many people did so well at the hang clean. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a great way for these guys to showcase their strengths. Is everything else running without a hitch except for these quirky things that come with this event?
I'd say for the most part, and I don't know exactly what the intent was by HWPO and DFC in terms of the number of barbells that they wanted to see athletes lift in the strength ladder there. Just taking it on its own, I don't mind that they're going, 13, 14, 15 bars deep. They are getting 4 minutes before they lift again, and a little bit of fatigue builds up there. It's very contrary to last year where they only had 2 attempts at a max lift. So instead of that, you have to earn it over 15 bars. So I think it is a different way to test strength and a good way to test strength. But I know that they weren't expecting especially the women to get that heavy, and therefore the event to go that long. And I believe that after that event, we were about 90 minutes behind schedule of what we had expected. Oh,
you were? Okay. Well, when I went back and watched it, it seemed great to me.
I don't know. I know. The product, I think, was really good and fun and enjoyable to watch, but compared to what the expectation was, and just in general about the field of athletes here, there's been a lot of talk. This isn't the strongest field that Dubai's ever seen. I was blown away by the athletes today. I thought that they were incredible, and I was extremely impressed in all 3 workouts with the caliber and the level of output that we were able to see.
How much time do we have with you right now?
We'll see.
Okay. I just want to quickly go over day 1. I watched all of Lauren Khalil's videos from the morning chalk up. Chase and Brian, feel free to, Sousa, you too. Feel free to jump in wherever you want as I go through my notes here from the interviews Lauren did. You can watch the full interviews over at the Morning Chalk Up YouTube page with Lauren Khalil. Reggie Foster said
I just want. Oh, you're talking about day 1, the Burge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reggie Faza said he bear crawled 2 flights of stairs. Now, we as the viewers at home did get to see Lazar Jukic do a bear crawl on his final flight. And we also saw how damaged he was. And I'd like to know anything you know about what actually happened to Lazar. It looked like some neurological meltdown, the way his legs were like flapping all over the place. But did anyone else bear crawl? I mean, that sounds like I've never seen an event at the CrossFit Games where someone went on all 4 when they could have ran.
Hill
like
Run 2009.
Oh, good point. Good point, Chase.
2020.
Good point. Those were some incredible angles people got. We got in trouble for some of those shots. That's right. That's right. Brian, did you hear anyone else besides Fossa? And did any of the women go on all 4 that you know of?
I don't think I hadn't heard otherwise, but I haven't really asked that question.
You know, it's actually a technique that a lot of stair racers use is bear crawling. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I've done a couple stair races over the last decade just for fun, and I got beat by professionals, and they use a bear crawl technique. Maybe not the whole time, but it's just like switching up positions on a rower when you're going a long distance. They'll switch up pulling on the rails and bear crawling. They'll have gloves out there for it specifically. Wow.
And is that something that you put into your pacing? So you would do 10 flights of stairs on 2 and then 1 bear crawl?
It just kind of depends on preference. It's the same thing for like a hill run. Is it best to lean forward and have short, choppy steps and lean into the hill, or get on all 4s? I mean, think how many people we saw bear crawling in the 2016 trail run at in Aromas when they flew everybody down there.
That was kind of mandatory though.
And it was almost like it makes it decide for you sometimes.
Right. Just going back, I know you guys didn't see the podcast earlier today, but Jethro Cardona, just like Sevan today, guys just want to hug girls. I just want to touch Chase's beard. I understand. We are people who see things and then want other senses to experience it. And it's not.
I thought about shaving before coming.
You're not the only one who wants to touch Chase's beard.
I've already decided that if you go off on one of your tangents, that I'm going to just stare at Chase's beard instead.
Oh, awesome.
It's the eye candy.
That one's appropriate. So Brian, what did happen? Did medics? We were told and we saw kind of a glimmer that Lazar was on a stretcher on the 160th floor. Can you tell us anything that happened? Was there any conclusive medical evaluation that they're like, hey, he was low on electrolytes or he's dehydrated, or what happened there? Panic attack, which we will get to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got him water, we got him sugar, apple juice, a little bit of food that we had there. And the medics were tending to him, the entire time. Everyone else finished the event and was able to go back on the buses. He stayed with the medics, a couple of the event directors, saw a doctor, got medically cleared. All of his levels were normal, and they approved him to come back to the hotel and see his girlfriend and his family. But he definitely wasn't feeling well, and I don't really think he was feeling maybe up to standards until midday today. So the schedule ended up being favorable for him in the fact that there were approximately 30 hours from the finish of that event until the start of the next workout this evening. If there'd been less time, I feel like he probably would have withdrawn, but given the amount of time that there was there, I think maybe around noon or 1 p.m. today in Dubai is when he kind of made the decision that he was feeling good enough to go for it and wanted to continue on in the competition.
But he did not go to the hospital, and he did not take an IV bag, as far as you know?
As far as I know.
Okay. Jessica Valenzuela is commenting on the camera work. It only gets better. That was about, as I recall, that was just the first 30 minutes, and then they go to a wide shot. So Mike M. So sugar saved his life.
That's a fucking leap.
I love you, Mike. I love you. Okay. Alex Catulus won event 1, even though he thought he was going slow. He said his legs were burning and it was mentally tough. He thought about his sons back in Athens with every step. Now, this is something that Chase brought up earlier. The breathing, the hardest part for him was the metabolic part. And he said turning in the staircase. Sorry, it was Bill Grunler who said this. He said turning in the staircase was very dizzying. I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but he said that was one of the most challenging parts for him. He said metabolically, the burning the legs, and he said it was dizzying making all of those turns. I'm surprised we haven't heard that from more people. Brian.
Actually, and now that I think about it, me too. And that's a lot of turns to make, and you're pretty much always going in the same direction, left, 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 left.
He said when they asked, did you pass anyone? He said he did. He said he passed Koski on the stairs and told him, sorry, buddy, as he passed him. The event was a half-mile climb straight up the tallest building in the world. Starts were staggered every 2 minutes. No water, no music. Railing played a large role. As we said, Lazar Djukic was ruined. 4 minutes separated the top 10 men. Brian, are you surprised that the women and men were so close in this?
Not necessarily. We've seen kind of a pattern emerge over the last maybe decade or so at the games where in these longer events that are relatively similar or sometimes exactly the same, that there are women that are competitive with the men, long runs and swims, sometimes maybe with a bike or a paddle or something like that. So it's definitely possible and not unprecedented for the women to keep up with the men on some of the endurance events.
I want to say, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think Tyler Watkins or someone sent a spreadsheet. Maybe it was Mr. Spin. But you can see that many, many, many women beat many men. And that's a pretty cool thing. It'd be fun to see something like that with a mass start. Cons Porter said he had some minor claustrophobia in the stairwell. He said he loosened his vest and pushed that out of his mind and got his breathing straight again. Koski said he came out.
Let's stay with that comment from Con for a second, because I think that this is one of the elements of the workout that is very cool, and this is kind of the thing that I like to see athletes of this level have to deal with. What Con, I was there when Con finished, and a couple of minutes after he's able to gather himself, he said about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way in, he loosened his vest a little bit and was able to breathe much better, and he really wished that he'd thought to do that earlier on. But what I meant in the opening is it's an unknown element. No one's practiced climbing 160 stairs without water, without air, without music, without anyone around them. And so the athletes are forced to adapt on the fly in a situation like that. He figured it out eventually, what might help him out. And other people didn't. I spoke with Luka Djukic about this workout a few times, and he goes, I should have skipped some stairs. He took every single stair the entire time, and he says he thinks that cost him several minutes.
Oh, Luka said that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I will say this. No matter what anyone says was their all-time favorite event they've ever done in their CrossFit life, out of any athlete, there will be no athlete who climbed the world's tallest building who will ever forget it. It'll be hard to say that.
I think actually Lazar Djukic forgot about that.
He definitely forgot. Well, I heard, I'm hearing rumors that he forgot the last 60 floors.
Yeah, I was going to say the best 100 of his life.
Yeah. But what an amazing opportunity to kind of just say you did. There's a it's kind of like saying at this point that you got to compete in aromas. It's up there with like a really fun thing to do. I mean, you went and climbed the tallest building in the world, and obviously we know a lot of people. We can't even find an official world record on who's done this the fastest. I will say this, and we'll check with Brian on this. These guys and gals with their vests became very close to breaking what is the speculative world record. And what I mean close, I mean less than a minute. Is that correct, Brian?
Well, I'm pretty sure that Jamie Simmons has the record for women. I don't think that that's something that any women had ever done before. As far as men, I do think there was a guy who did a faster time than Alex Catoulis, but I don't think he was wearing a weight vest.
So Jamie Simmons has done that without a vest before?
No, I'm saying I think prior to that event, I don't think any women had ever done that.
Oh, God. Oh, wow.
One by default.
Wow. That's like when my mom won the half marathon but she was the only one in her age group. Wow. Okay.
That's right. Hey, it's still a W though.
That's the only vagina that's traversed 160 floors in the Khalif Burj.
Well,
in the world.
Now.
What?
In the world.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I think Lena Richter, I believe, started second but finished first, got to the top first. And in one of her posts, she mentioned that she thought she at least was the first woman to have ever done that.
That's cool.
Wow. I wonder if you could have carried something up with you, like a Mickey Mantle baseball card, and be like, and it's been up to the tallest building in the world on the staircase.
A flat Stanley.
Yeah. This bottle cap from this Pepsi is the only bottle cap that's ever. Koski came out, said he came out too fast and got frustrated with himself. Guillaume Briand said he used a lot of arm pulling. Brian, did you hear a lot about that at the top? Like, wow, like people were surprised at how much the fatigue on the arms.
Yeah, Fraser had been talking about it. He'd done it a day or two previously. That was a significant factor, and he was feeling the grip fatigue late in the later flights of stairs. And Guillaume Briand, I did speak to him, and he said the same. He said he depended on that pulling strength a lot. Upper body pulling happens to be a strength of his anyway, so he was kind of pleasantly surprised that factored into it.
I wonder if you would think that do we know if the preferred route was on the inside, so to stay to the railing that's always on your right versus because it's always a right hand turn, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't very wide.
There, right?
It was basically you were pulling on both of the railings, guiding yourself up.
Wow. Okay.
And I did a couple of like maybe 2 or 3 other flights of stairs at one point, and that pulling plus skipping a stairs technique seemed pretty comfortable, but it's only for 3 flights. 160 is a very different story.
Okay, you did 1/50th. You did 1/60th of the 1/50th to 1/60th.
But it was the point is the stairwell's fairly narrow, and regardless of the height of the athlete, male or female, everyone could reach the railings on both sides and use it to help them move up the staircase.
Hence the claustrophobic piece.
Yeah,
because it is so narrow. Amy Kringle said she started with the 2-step technique, skipping a step, and she felt like she also started very hot. Emily Rolfe said floors from 120 to 140 were the hardest. And I'm guessing that's when you're kind of in no man's land, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I spoke to O'Keefe about it, and he said it was about the 120, 130 mark that it just got like really, really tough, and it was hard for him all the way in. But maybe for her, she realized, there's this thing called the stop sign phenomenon in running, where like eventually around the corner you see the finish line, and then you get a little like extra burst. So maybe that happened for her with about 20 flights left.
Sousa, could you bring up the leaderboard? I think I sent it to you in the private chat.
You did.
We'll just very look. Either one.
Okay.
I just want to give the top 3 for each of event 1, and then we'll move over to event 2. If you could rank them by event 1.
I gotta say, this might be my favorite Dubai event ever.
It's pretty cool.
I had a chance to sit down with Saud, one of the event organizers here, prior to this, and do a little article recapping some of the more historic offside events that they'd had here. They've had 32-kilometer bike rides in some desert environment. They've pushed weights underwater. They've swam with life vests in the ocean. They've done a variety of things, but this is such a unique opportunity. I mean, you just can't get up there. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
And so to be able to do it in a competition like this is, like Sevan said, a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Sousa, can you organize them by the event number 1, Burj Khalifa?
Yeah.
Okay. Jamie Simmons, first place. Amy Kringle, Emily Rolfe. Jamie's time was 32:10. If we could switch over to the men and also organize them by event number 1, you have Alex Katoulis at 30:37. He's the one who said he thought he was going slow. What's that guy's name? Anol Akai?
Anil.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Anol Akai with the 31:36.
He, by the way, has a very fond memory of something else you've called him in the past.
Oh, he does.
What was it?
Yes.
Can you guess?
And a couple of his friends have adopted that nickname for him, thanks to you.
I'm sorry, Ikai. I'm sorry. Ikai, there was a kid in school. I did that too, and I regret doing it. He was one of the nicest kids ever. And he had to pull me aside one day and be like, hey, you got to stop. And so I should have known better. I'm maturing slowly, as the listeners know. Okay. Briant Guillaume.
Briant.
The outlier from France, kind of a miracle. It shows how inclusive CrossFit is, and even a French man can make it. 32.
Wait. I feel like that's a slight at Willie Georges.
It is. It's slighted all of the entire country. And I love you guys. Don't worry. And France, 32:09. Incredible time. But what's even more incredible is it is the same time, only by 1 second different than Miss Jamie Simmons, the fastest woman ever to climb the tallest building in the world. Event number 2, the hang clean ladder. First time we've seen hang clean in any major CrossFit event. Chase, did you get a chance to watch this?
I did. Yeah.
What were your thoughts about it? Is a hang clean a viable lift to test strength?
I like it. Yeah. I mean, we had the hang snatch at regionals, I think in 2014 as a specific event, but this was, I mean, it's different. We've never seen the hang clean specifically, and it poses a much different challenge than something from the floor or a power clean from the floor. And so I really liked having this as the strength event, but I also liked the number of reps. I mean, you guys talked about at the top of the show. I liked how many lifts that they had to do, because it wasn't just, okay, we get to this weight, it's really heavy, we get there in 5. Like, there was a big element, I think, of stamina and endurance, as well as having that top end strength. So I enjoyed that.
I liked watching them also go 4 or 5 at a time, whatever they did, and then seeing like holes in the lanes as they went on. Like, oh shit. And then there were 3, and then there was 2, and then there was 1. Brian, what did you think about the time? One opportunity and only 20 seconds. We good with that?
What I really liked about it was the fact that you had to complete the lift within 20 seconds. And the reason being, because if you have the 20 seconds on, 10 seconds transition, and you don't have that guideline in there, then you run the risk of people running deep into that 10-second transition period and throwing off the entire flow of the event. And so because I kind of like that, I'm also okay with the 1 attempt rule, because then you don't necessarily feel rushed to try an attempt just in case, so that I can maybe squeeze another one in. And so you saw really deliberate approaches from the athletes from the beginning all the way through. And I don't think there were very many athletes that had an execution error, because they were feeling the pressure of knowing they had to do it the first time.
I rushed through the event. I didn't see a single execution error, like anything. Well, we'll get to this. There was one major error in one of the tie breaks. We'll talk to that in a second. Were you okay with the timepiece, Chase? 20 seconds,
I loved
one
it.
lift? Yeah.
1 lift, 1 attempt, get rid of all the BS. I mean, you think of Matt's background in Olympic lifting. They get 1 shot. Like, they don't have a minute to lift on the platform. In fact, they have, I think, what is it? Like a 30 or 40 second shot clock as soon as they step onto it, and then they have to make the lift. So there's a little bit of, you see Fraser's background in Olympic lifting in there. It's like, you get 1 shot and 1 shot only. And I like that.
I did see Jamie Simmons catch one in the hole and try to come out of the hole 3 or 4 times and then eventually do it. And that was crazy. Do you remember that lift, Brian? That was nuts.
I do. And it was one of the elements that you see there in the hang clean. You see it in just a clean in general, a full squat clean, but you have to make the decision. Are you going to try to get a little bit of the bounce out of there, or are you going to stabilize and wait and then trust your front squat ability from a dead stop and stand it up? And she was kind of riding the line in between there. She tried to bounce it out. She didn't make it. Somehow she was able to gather herself, tried again, still didn't make it, and tried a third time and stood it up. And yeah, it was one of the more impressive
which is
lifts
insane
within that competition. Yeah.
Like that.
And she didn't hit the next one. And
I don't think people know,
totally.
Right. Cause she did like 3 max lift front squats before she got that rep. But like, I don't think people really understand how hard it is to do that. Like, it's not like a snatch. Like, for a snatch, you receive it at the bottom. The easiest part of the entire lift is standing it up. For a hang clean, the hardest part clearly is standing it up, and to bounce multiple times. Fabian Benito did the same thing. I was like, there's no way he's standing up with that. And then they get it on the 2nd or 3rd try. I don't think people really, truly can comprehend how difficult it is to do that.
And what Jamie did was a lot of mental power too, because she got so vertical on her last attempt. She wasn't just using muscle. I mean, she pushed that bar so far back into her neck and her throat. I thought she was actually going to fall backwards for a second, but I mean, when she finally made it, she was vertical. It was kind of looked like a not a suspension bridge, but like a cantilever. It was nuts. It was a fantastic lift. Did anyone not make it past the first bar in the men or the women's heats? Everyone made it.
I think everyone made it at 3 bars actually, and I didn't mind that. I mean, I was actually pushing for a little bit of a lower starting weight, because when I looked up the expected lifts for this field, there was nowhere near what they ended up performing. They, as a whole, both the men and the women exceeded expectations in terms of kind of average lift before bowing out, and then obviously also some of the top end stuff we saw, particularly from Karen Frey. But I don't mind the light bars. I don't mind like grooving that, and you got to see the athletes make a choice. Many of them were doing power cleans for 4, 5, 6 bars, and some who didn't need to were doing squat cleans just to get into the rhythm of the squat clean.
What was the first weight for the women?
85 kilos.
Do we know what that is in pounds?
It's
About
like
180, about 190.
And and what was the first weight for the men?
300, around 300 pounds, 305 pounds, something like that.
Okay, so none of the women beat the men in this because Karen Frey did 275.
270 or 275, yeah, right around there. But here's a good example for you, Sevan.
Yeah.
When I was giving this workout, I was giving it in pounds. Last night we were working on finalizing scorecards. We created it in pounds. Then the decision was made to switch to kilos. So we redid the workout in kilos. At the briefing today, they advised the athletes that they were changing from pounds to kilos. The kilos that they listed in the briefing were not the kilo weights that ended up being used on the competition floor.
I like it. Keep you on your feet.
But what I just want to say is, and as ridiculous as that might sound, it's just how it is. And what I've been so impressed with is the athletes' responses. No one's giving them a hard time. Everyone's just rolling with it. They seem to have like this collective understanding that, okay, this is the task at hand and we're just going to do our best to complete it. And we'll get to the next workout. We'll talk about a change that happened there as well. And the athlete's response was just as positive. They just accepted it, rolled with it, and moved on.
Just to let you guys know how heavy that is, I don't know who that was, but she picked her bar up and you saw her bar bend. And then when she did her dip, you saw her bar bend even more. She got, yeah, here, this is nuts.
This is Taylor Howe.
Yeah, look at the bar. Nuts. Wow. Any PRs out there, Brian? Did you hear? I mean, I know that's kind of hard for you to know out there.
So, did Khan PR? Because that dude was so fired up after every lift for like 6 lifts in a row. Or was he just having fun?
Both. Souza, pull up Khan's latest Instagram post, and I'll let him answer that question for Chase. But because this isn't a lift that's often tested in competition, we couldn't go back to some regional, semifinal, sanctional, anything to find really a relevant lift in competition for them. So we were just kind of going off of their clean and jerk. Sometimes the clean and jerk's lifted, restricted by the jerk. Sometimes it's the clean. So we didn't really know. And that's why, we were off, which was fine. There were a lot of PRs today. We can look at Khan's first, and then I'll tell you about a couple others I know of.
A 15 kilogram hang clean PR.
And he PR'd is clean? That's awesome.
Yeah, look at that.
15 kilogram PR from the hang.
Wow. We were talking about it at some point today that, he spent the majority of this past season trading alongside one of the strongest guys in CrossFit, Tola Morakinho. Their skill sets offset each other a little bit, but clearly whatever he's been doing in Iceland is paying off because, not only did he PR his hang clean, he PR'd his clean, period. And it does happen sometimes in competition. I think that one kind of maybe clever or not necessarily realized aspect of this event and why we saw so many PRs in it, when you're getting ready to come to a competition, the athletes, they're so excited to get going. And they got a chance to get going yesterday. Like we talked about with Lazar, that was 30 hours before they got to go again. So they had 30 hours to just sit around and ready to go. But during that time, they can get body work done. They can get a sleep. I mean, many of the athletes took a 2 or 3 hour nap and then got 10 hours of sleep last night. They were eating 3 full meals today before the competition started. So they were fueled up, primed, adrenaline rushing, first time in this stadium ever for a CrossFit event. And all those things contribute to. Plus, everyone was having such success early in the lifting that they're just like, oh man, everyone's staying in it. I can't bow out of here. And Martin
Graham, America, switch to metric for fucking sake, please. Please send a letter to our Dr. Fauci, Martin, and we will do whatever's safe for our people. We need to run the proper scientific tests.
If it just saves one life.
I will say the metric system was much easier to work with when I was doing engineering in college.
It's crazy that we're not on metric system.
About freedom pounds, all right?
Hey, when I was a kid,
I said that on a broadcast once.
When I was a kid, they said we were moving to the metric system, and they started teaching us it in school, public school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's either that or you were on mushrooms.
Not quite at that point in my life. I have to rule that out. Brian brought up a very good point, I think, or Chase, the fact that he was that Khan was there training. Think about what Khan got to be with. He got to be with Katrin David's daughter, 2 times champion, Annie Thor's daughter, 2 times champion, Miracle, second place, finished the year against Tia 2 years ago after coming back from a pregnancy, 3rd place. She's been in 3 different, kind of generational cohorts of games athletes. She's been there since the beginning. And then on top of that, he's got Tola, but then he's got one of the most experienced trainers ever in Yami Tinkinen. I mean, so maybe it does matter.
Well, I think you got a lot of structure there too, which I don't really associate Khan Porter with in a positive way. He's a very free spirit, and his training, I think, would mimic that over the years. And to go to Iceland isolated in a house with the team and very focused, like there was no doing anything outside the box on a team with Annie. I think if he was even an individual in Iceland, he would have had a totally different training experience than he was with a structured team with Annie and Yami at the helm. And when you have someone like Tola who can really push you in those weights and those things, I think it was the perfect training environment for someone like Khan Porter to reach a level that he probably didn't know he could tap into without someone being there to focus him in the training. I mean, at the CrossFit Games on the team competition, when the team was like a 1 rep max front squat or someone did a 1 rep max jerk, they switched places. Khan was supposed to do the jerk there, but he ended up doing the front squat, and he PR'd. I mean, what did Khan hit on the front squat, Brian? I can't remember. Was it close to 400 something?
Maybe.
I think he PR'd his front squat, and they made the decision walking out to the floor, not even in the warm-up area. So Khan, I don't think, realizes how good he actually got in the team training settings. And I think it was a perfect time for Khan at the perfect place at the perfect time. And it's really cool to see it pay off for him.
And that's not a dig on the training regimen he has in Australia, where on every other Wednesday he makes friendship bracelets and exchanges them with Ricky Gerard. I mean, that shit's cool too, but it's more mental and less physical. Okay. I mean, can't you see Khan wearing doing in between workouts, making hemp bracelets on the beach in Australia? Line of girls trying to get the Khan friendship bracelet. Can we pull up the leaderboard? I want to say this. So they went to a tie break here in this event, and this is where lane width might matter.
Let me explain the format of the tie break first, because much like we were talking about with the format, the 20 seconds, 1 attempt, and the way they had that laid out. In the tie break, let's just say that the 4 of us all went out on the 5th barbell. We did not go immediately to the tie break, because perhaps Sevan was lifting in the first heat, Chase was lifting in wave 3, and Matt and I went out in wave 4. So in that instance, because there was mandated periods of time in between, Sevan would have had maybe a 2-minute advantage in terms of rest over me and Matt. Now he's going to have that 2-minute advantage either way, but the first 2 minutes of rest is pretty critical when you have to go and then do 5 hang squat cleans at 225 or 155 pounds or something close to that. Which I don't know what weight it actually was, but I was kind of close.
220.
We were off. Either way, instead, everyone who'd advanced through the 5th barbell would then be sent to lift again. And after the 6th barbell was completed, the 4 of us would go to the tie break, which is what we're watching here.
Okay, and after one of the tie breaks, Lazar Jukic crossed the finish line and slammed his weight belt on the ground and was looking around. And I don't know if it was you or Derek, but someone mentioned that when Lazar was doing the hang cleans there, that he had a collision, and I don't know with who, but that their bars actually hit each other during the hang cleans. Can you tell us what happened there?
So first of all, as you mentioned, there's no chip timers. So the person who crosses the finish line first is not necessarily have the fastest time. The judges were supposed to start the stopwatch as soon as the athlete moved. Therefore,
so if they false started, it takes that out of the equation.
And that's in theory what it is supposed to do.
Okay.
Instead of having some kind of false start penalty, which you could also have chosen to have, they just, the athletes were not told, go whenever you want and they'll start the stopwatch. But the judges were told, when the athlete leaves, you start the clock for your lane. When the athlete crosses the line, you stop the clock for your lane and you write down the time that's on your stopwatch, and that's the time we're going to go with. Now, it was really small margins, and so it's a little bit of human error, obviously, with the stopwatch, but it does somewhat account for what appeared to be, false starts on the broadcast.
Well, that's good.
And why was there a collision? Was that one of the athletes turned sideways, or the lanes weren't marked properly, or what happened there? And who did he collide with?
They're uneven.
Yeah. It was the barbells, it was tight on the floor there, and as you saw in the snatching workout, they had the staggered barbells that wouldn't have worked necessarily here because the athletes needed to traverse the same distance to their bar and back to the bar to make the tie break fair. But they wanted to have enough bars in case there was a big tie break. They never had more than 5 athletes. And afterwards, and I want to give Dubai credit for this, because a lot of times I see things happening in competition that is obviously there's a better way. And then a lot of times they just let it go, and then they'll address it for the next sex that's coming up. They'll just be like, we screwed it up for the women, but we'll get it right for the men. 2 times, both in this event, they made a change on the fly after realizing that there was a better way to do it. First, they had the athletes running to the bar, turning around, and then doing a lift. They had changed that, and they put them in the back so they could come forward and therefore not eat as much into the 20 seconds and 10-second transition times. So good job on that. In this case, there were 5 men in that heat. Lazar was on the outside, I believe. Next to him was Vladimir Sashin from Russia. And Vladimir, just as can happen, he just lost his grip of his barbell trying to cycle one of the reps, and it fell to the ground. No problem so far, but it bounced a little to the right. And when he picked it up, it banged into Lazar's bar that was coming down from a previous, he's about to cycle it back. At that point in the tie break, Lazar was in the lead amongst the 5 guys there. But because of that, which obviously rattled him and stopped his momentum, he dropped to 3rd in the tie break, and 2 other people were able to pass him by a small margin. He was obviously upset about it. The throwing the belt on the ground is a lack of professionalism in the moment, but you can understand being a little heated. From there, he went and did what he was supposed to do, which is address the head judge, which is the Gaucho mustache man, by the way. And he's an incredible head judge, and I wish I had more opportunities to work with him, and submitted an appeal. That appeal was reviewed after competition ended today, and Lazar was credited back a small amount of time, I think somewhere around 0.15 seconds. I'm not sure how that if that affected him moving up 1 or 2 spots or not, but we did award him back a little bit of time after the conclusion of all competition today.
Interesting. And I guess for all the coaches listening, that is something that that could be spoken to the athletes about. Like, hey, anything can happen out there. A bird can fly into you. A bar can hit you. A fan can throw a beach ball out there. Anything. Your rower, the batteries could stop on your rower. It's up to you to keep your shit together. I don't have a problem with the belt throwing, by the way, at all. It's this. You have a problem with the chase. Here's the thing. When Josh Bridges would just explode as he crossed the finish line.
Yeah,
I just kind of see it as that. It's just blowing off steam. He just exploded.
I see those a little differently. One's a celebration. The other one, like when there's a big difference between Josh running up on the platform after beating Rich Froning in push-pull, then Josh throwing his glasses against the wall because he couldn't do a deadlift.
I give up.
So
he did 2 rounds before that one.
Travis Williams kicking over the weight plate placard because so yeah,
the heavy cleat injury.
There's a difference, and especially in a host country like Dubai, where I don't really think that's custom.
It's illegal.
Yeah. Be on your best behavior.
That being said, I can empathize with the frustration. Gotcha.
Fair. Okay.
Well,
and I would like to say that this show is very fond of Lazar, and he can almost do no wrong in my eyes.
I was actually surprised that he did that, honestly, just because of the Lazar's character to begin with. But I mean, listen, you get frustrated. He was probably already frustrated where he was after day 1 and just his positioning there. And listen, it gets the best of all of us. You get me in my worst moment on a competition floor. It wasn't very pretty either. So I don't blame him.
And no matter how nice they are off the field, these are all lions. Like there's no
competitive as hell, want to win. It's like the reaction when you get mad as a dude and you punch the wall, and then instantly after you punch it, you're like, why did I do that? Now my hand hurts. Now you're mad at yourself.
Yeah,
that's
I get it.
Probably what happened. It's a heat of the moment thing.
Now I have to buy a painting to hang over that hole.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. How am I going to hide that from my mom?
Get a poster.
Can we look at the leaderboard for the hang clean ladder? Any surprises in the women's division? who placed where here? Could you yeah, thank you, Susan.
We go women or men?
We'll do women. We'll do women first.
Women first.
No, so you look at the top three women there. Karen Frey, someone I thought had a chance to win this. Oyana Moya is arguably the strongest pound for pound lifter in CrossFit, or at least up there. And Dana Fran has an Olympic weightlifting background, which she recently posted about why that part of her career came to an end 5 years ago. And she's obviously leaning into that here to have a top three finish on this.
Why did her career end in that?
Pretty devastating ankle injury, I believe. She was very similar to Matt Fraser. In fact, was told that she would never be able to lift again or do anything competitive with weightlifting, and she refused to believe that and has, fought her way back to, showing up here at a pretty high level CrossFit event.
Karen Frey, 122 kilograms. Oliver, 120, and Paran, 117. What do these times mean? Oh, those times are the tiebreak times?
Yeah, so you see that Carlson and Howe went to a tiebreak. Right below that, Richter, Angonis, and Rangel had a three-way tiebreak.
Okay. Okay, going over to the men's, the hang clean, Fabian Benito Celis, first place, 172 kilograms. Oh, it was a tiebreak between him and Reggie Fossa. The boys were in the prediction show were predicting Reggie Fossa, but no one predicted Fabian.
Brian did.
He did?
Yeah, said it on the broadcast.
Okay. All right. Shows how well I listen.
He won a tiebreaker with 4.5 reps to 5, though.
4.5 to 4 3/4. So interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
No, this is good. I think it was pretty obvious to anyone who knows what they're watching that Fabian Benito did not stand up the clean fully on the last rep of the 5-rep hang squat clean tiebreak. Some of the athletes brought it to the judges' attention. Some people present on site brought it to the judges' attention. That's not how a review typically works. You can only challenge, or dispute something that happened to you. And there's, room for conversation around that for sure. But in this case, there was enough input that was coming in from on site, from around the world, that I did advise the head judge that he might want to take a look at that, because it was for the event win. There is money on the line for winning events here in Dubai individually, and I thought that it might be worthwhile to take a look at that. And taking a look at it, we slowed it down and we saw that it was definitely a no rep. Reggie Fossa's rep was also a no rep. Maybe in Reggie's case, it was the fact that he saw Fabian was going and realized, well, if I don't go now, I'm not going to win anyway. I mean, we don't know what he's thinking in the moment. Because both of those were no reps, they were having some conversations about potential ways to address that. I'm not sure what the decision that was made was, but as I advised you guys before coming on the show, these are the results that are entered in here, but currently they should be considered. And, there's not going to be a very significant amount of change, but there is still a potential for some small things to change before competition starts tomorrow.
Change regarding
a couple of the reviews, like I mentioned.
Okay. These scores aren't even final. Not that they're going to adjust other events, but that these events, the time still might be changed.
Correct. So they put, because it was such a fast turnaround today, and they're going to have a different protocol tomorrow, because obviously the competition has to end and be finalized tomorrow, so they can announce the winners. But they knew that they had a long amount of time to do that and a short amount of time between events today. So they decided to accept the disputes that came in, but review them after the fact. They did not want to wait until all the reviews were in to post any scores, because they knew that people in the United States and Europe would want to see something during the day today. So these are technically unofficial, but they're like, you can consider them like 99% accurate.
Okay. Hang clean ladder also down below, unfortunately, is Luka Jukic, which we understand.
No, not unfortunately at all. I have never seen Luka so happy after an event. Okay. His one rep max front squat is 160 kilos. He hang cleaned 155 today. Damn. He has been working relentlessly on his strength. He told me that he's gone through a massive squat clean strength cycle recently, and he didn't, the placement is what it is. He was so happy with this result.
Okay. Okay, good to hear that. Good to hear that. Yeah, only 5 kilos behind his brother, Lazar Jukic. Once again, we went over this, but Con Porter taking 5th place all alone, didn't have to do a tie break, 167 kilograms, 2 places higher than Brent Fikowski at 165 kilos.
Yeah, and if you watch the entire event, Brent was one of the guys that I was kind of looking at to maybe have a top 3 finish here, and he looked really smooth and really solid all the way through, and then all of a sudden just missed a bar without, and it didn't even really look like he had a chance to hit it. So I'm not sure if that was maybe an execution. I mean, it's not like he had a bad finish, but it was a lot of times when an athlete missed, it was kind of the writing was on the wall. We saw it, like we talked about with Jamie, where we saw a difficult rep and then they would miss the next one, or we saw a little bit of uncertainty and then they'd miss the next one. But not for Brent. It was like great and then miss.
It looked like he shorted his extension a little bit, trying to get under the bar a little too fast. But you get to those certain weights and it can be like that, right? It's like, okay, this is the easiest lift I've ever done. 2.5 kilo jump is kind of what they started to do towards the end, I think, Brian. Hey,
yep.
buddy. Sorry. Hey, and you get jump another 5 pounds, and that's all it was, right? But to me, it looked like, and you'll see this a lot with the hang, especially, is you'll come off the floor, it feels heavy. It sits in the hang, it feels heavy, and so you're just like, I panicking a little bit to try to get under the bar. It just seemed like you shorted it a bit, trying to get underneath, and that just put him in a bad position.
Not that that's against the rules. It's just that you're not maximizing your power, right, Chase?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's more of like a crutch. Or like a mental thing. Is like, it feels so heavy. I need to get under this bar faster. So maybe you don't spend that extra half inch getting the bar up, thinking you can get under, and then that bar lands. Look, at that weight, it moves a half inch forward on your shoulders. It's coming down to the ground quick. Like you can't fight that and save it. So at those weights, that's usually what you tend to see, is that one looks great and then the other one looks like they had never lifted before.
First 2 workouts are pretty self-explanatory. And then we go to the 3rd workout, which is get a grip. We'll take a quick look at this workout. Had a 22-minute time cap. This is the one that we were joking around. Is it a chipper or is it a triplet? It's basically rowing toes to bar snatch, rowing toes to bar snatch, rowing toes to bar snatch with ascending weights.
Ski.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Well, it had to change.
Oh, yes. What happened there? Right. Skier. Thank you. What happened there, Brian? Why did they change, and when were those changes made?
We asked for 15 rowers and we were given 15 ski ergs.
What's Fraser say about that?
Classic mix-up.
Does Fraser go out and kick his camel, or does he just chill?
He has to wait for the U.S. to do that.
I don't know if this is true or not, but the rumor is that the guy who was supposed to be in charge of that went to Qatar because he's Dutch to watch the Netherlands play the U.S. And the guy who ended up doing it in his place brought the ski ergs instead of the rowers.
I would like to see someone's face when that is so awesome. Does that significantly change the workout? I mean, you're still getting the heart rate piece, right? Did they change the calories?
They did change the calories, and I hope Jace comes back to answer that question. I'd love to get his perspective on it. Let's ask Chase.
Chase, it sounds like the guy from Qatar was too busy focused on the World Cup game and I think in Arabic it's only one little swirl. That's the difference between a rower and a skier. How much does this change this workout?
First of all, that written language is fascinating to me.
Yes.
Just to see it written out, it just looks like art.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
Yeah.
I know it's easy to read, just like you would see like any glyphs, but I think it's a beautiful written language. So this it changes the event, but it doesn't. It's not a bad thing. Right. It's not like anybody was training for this event, because we just found out what it was a day or two ago.
It's not like they brought GHDs instead of
nobody got to practice this. Now it does make it a lot more like redundancy movement type of a thing. So like the rower, you're driving your legs, you're pulling back with the arms. On the ski erg, You're extending the arms, coming down, and it's a lot more triceps than it is biceps, the opposite of the row and the ski. It's all core coming down, and then you got to do the same thing on the toes bar, which really, when you look at it, if you want to put a positive spin, like it's a really cool twist to throw at them. You've got some redundancy between the ski and the row. Now, how well can you snatch with good technique for high volume, moderate weight under fatigue, and then a surprisingly heavy load that requires a lot of technique on your last 10. So if this was the change, like say the change we had to have with the alpaca, like that's a dramatic shift of what the event intent and purpose really was. It didn't do that when you change it to the ski erg. And I really like having that ski change, but I also like, I actually was talking to JR, is that he didn't like this, but he didn't like that they lowered the cows. And the reason why I like that they lower the cows, because cows on the ski is way harder to get done than cows on the rower. So lowering it kept the stimulus of the event the same as far as the time frame and effort they would have to put forth on the erg implement for the concept too. So I liked it overall.
And I'll say this, I know from testing and from talking to Jake Marconi and Matt Fraser, who had done this workout as well, that they were hopeful that a majority of the athletes would finish under the cap, and that they thought the best times could be between 15 and 16 minutes. And with the change to the ski calories, both of those things were still accomplished.
Luka Jukic claimed that he would win that event, and he took
first.
Hey.
So he did it.
Call the shot.
And I'll also
awesome.
tell you this too. He finishes. He was in heat 1 today, having been in the bottom 10 after the Burj Khalifa challenge, and he finishes that workout, and it was an incredible workout. He was going against his brother, and Yorgos Kervis. And Yorgos Kervis is well known in Europe for being very good on workouts that feature a gymnastics bar movement, a pull-up bar movement with a barbell cycling movement. And for as long as Luka's been competing in CrossFit in Europe, he's been unable to beat Yorgos on those kind of workouts. So he considers him elite in that style of workout. He knows how good his brother is at that stuff. And I was being a little bit critical of him, saying it's heat 1. I don't like that he's walking over his bar and celebrating before crossing the finish line. Well, he got wind of the fact that I said that and messaged me like maybe an hour ago and said, I knew that if I was beating Yorgos and Lazar on this workout, that no one in the second heat was going to beat me.
Dang,
I didn't like this.
That's
Hey,
cold.
But Brian, I got your back here, because those are the times
I would have said
when
the same thing, by the way.
we have seen people do that
Yep.
and then get past.
Finish it when it's finished. Don't celebrate before you finish that.
So
Finish
I do
Cross that
think
finish line.
it's a bad habit, but I do also like
It's easy to text that after.
I like Luka's
Yeah, exactly.
response.
Hindsight.
Well, the
Brian-
other thing of note there is, like don't sleep on how well these athletes know each other. Especially these guys competing in Europe. There are a lot of competitions in Europe. They're not all of this magnitude, so we don't always get to see them. But these guys compete against each other quite often, and have a really, and if they don't, they know someone who has, and they have a really good understanding of where guys like Kairovis are going to do really well. And so, Luka said it was a very significant accomplishment in his career to be able to beat Yorgos in a workout like this. And we all agree here. Finish the workout, celebrate afterwards. But to be that aware that was going to be a time that was, capable of holding up is still notable.
If we can bring up the women's leaderboard and organize it by Get a Grip. This is the event, I believe, the first of 2 in a row that Karen Frey wins. She won 3 and 4. Is that correct?
Yep.
Am I saying it? Karen, not Karen. Karen Frey.
Is it Karen?
Karen? Cotton.
It's not that. I think Chase said it right.
Yeah, the only reason it's like my girlfriend in college name was Karen, so it's like I feel like it's.
Dude, this chick's from some. You don't even know what country. Do you know what country she's from? Cotton.
Czech.
Slovakia. No,
Yeah,
Slovakia.
it's definitely
She's
not
like the
Karen.
6-time fittest.
Okay, before
woman
it
in
split,
Slovakia.
same thing.
I'd like to put in a dispute to the judges. There's no way Brian and Chase have this right. Cotton, or there's something funky.
I'm gonna tell you, it's it. That is Karen.
She. Oh wow. So, okay. Oh, so that was her second right there win in a row. I thought that was. Did she also win the next event also?
Close, but no.
Okay. And then we have Andrea Solberg, and then Jamie Simmons, then Moya, and then Emily Rolfe.
Let's just pause for a second here.
Please.
Andrea Solberg, she's phenomenal at gymnastics.
Dude.
I thought for sure that the last 10 reps of this snatch would stop her in her tracks, but it was actually Jamie Simmons that happened to. Jamie was first getting to the barbell, and not only did Karen pass her, Andrea also passed her, and I am extremely proud and impressed of Andrea Solberg for her performance on this one.
Is Jamie Simmons also known for her Olympic lifting?
No, she's just generally good at everything.
Yeah.
It was her and Yonakoski both who struggled a lot more with the last 10 reps of this workout than I expected.
And the spacing between this is a lot of time between first, second, and third place. We have 15 seconds basically separating first and second between Frey and Solberg, and then Simmons 30 seconds after second place.
That's a big gap.
And I mentioned to the broadcast team that anyone getting to that barbell within a minute of someone else could have a chance to pass them by. Because if you are forced, and this happened to men and women today, if you're forced to hit a rep, and some of them had a squat snatch it, by the way, stand it up, back up, take 3 breaths, recompose yourself, and go again, that takes a lot of time. And there were other athletes that were able to snatch it, drop it, 1 breath, get up, snatch. I mean, you can make up a minute like that.
Thank you. That's my name in Arabic. Nice. Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah, get that tatted on you without checking that.
Yeah, put it on your rib cage too.
Yeah, just blindly do it.
Pumpkin spice latte with your small dog.
And the weight that Brian's referring to for the women was 135 pounds.
I think actually after talking to some people, it was closer to 145.
What the fuck is going on here? Are you kidding me?
No.
Here's the thing, people. This is not I want you guys to stare at Brian when he says this stuff, because this is a man who probably, when it says 1 water for every one cup of water with every 1 cup of oatmeal, if he spills a little when he walks over to the pan, he starts over. He dumps that shit. Like, this is a guy who's not comfortable with, like, maybe it was 145.
Loose standards. Yeah.
Like, this isn't I almost feel I'm actually enjoying this.
There's
this discussion if the CrossFit Games is going to get rid of the unknown and unknowable, and Dubai's like, fuck you, we got
you. Even we don't know.
Yeah, take that.
We don't know.
Oh, Brian, just let me ask you this. This is going to be a ridiculous question, but it's going to be fair. Are all the bars and plates the same?
Yes.
And who's the manufacturer? They're all of the same manufacturer. All what are the things that you put on the ends to keep the weights on? What are those things called?
Collars.
The collars and clips. Are they all the same?
They are.
Okay. So and it's probably a fair question since the lanes are different width. And we're not exactly sure. What would make you think that it's not 135, even though it says it here on their Instagram account?
Conversation I had with someone maybe an hour before coming on here.
Fucking love this. We had a little discussion before these events started, like, why do people throw events? And it's interesting. This event is put on by the Crown Prince over there, and I think this event is put on for his enjoyment, right?
Definitely in part, yes, and also I think to showcase Dubai.
So yeah, fantastic. Okay, great.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, well, it's cool doing the building run and having all these beautiful athletes there.
Yeah,
getting that, and we're definitely having fun trying to figure out what the weights are. Okay, so 10. We were talking about 10. Brian had stated that, hey, when you have 10 snatches at the end at 135 for women and 10 snatches at the end for 185, if you're a minute behind, you can still pass someone ahead of you.
Yeah, and I think in the case of Andrea Solberg and Jamie Simmons, we're looking at 30 seconds that she beat her by, and I think she got there maybe 15 or 20 seconds after, so she's pushing towards a minute of time that she was able to make up. And Andrea Solberg is not known for being that strong. Just a testament to maybe just to how well she held up through 120 toes to bar compared to some of the other athletes.
Bruce Wayne, God is great. Fine, good, all right, great. Any time caps up to this point in these 3 events?
Yeah, there's 22-minute time cap on
No,
this
but
workout.
did anyone not make the time cap?
There was no time cap for the Burj Khalifa challenge. Everyone finished. The hang clean ladder doesn't have a time cap, and get a grip. Every athlete was able to finish.
I fucking love this. I love this. This has been a topic of so many events we've covered. The athletes get to actually finish the workout. Go figure. They might not know the weights. But they'll give you enough time to do it.
They might push the competition back 90 minutes, but they'll get to finish.
Yeah, you get to do it. I mean, great. Hey, you know what? Who gives a shit about the athletes? We weren't waiting as the viewer.
No, I think everyone was loving it.
Sure.
And honestly, I think the athletes were loving it too. I mean, you saw Con Porter there. He didn't care that it was whatever time it was. He was hitting the lift of his life.
Right. And it's not like it was in a marathon day either. That also helps. Like, what is that, a 4 to 5 hour time window to get all the events in for the day? It's awesome. Late start too.
I'm afraid we're going to lose Brian. We have one more event, but let's look at the men very quickly at the Get a Grip competition. Brent organized them by.
Oh, let me find it real quick. Stand by.
I think you're there.
I am, but it's not zoomed in where it's supposed to be. I was trying to get it in tighter.
Exact same workout. It's basically a triplet. It's a row, toes to bar, snatch, row, toes to bar, snatch, row, toes to bar, snatch. The snatch goes from 75 pounds, 115 to 185. Brian will correct me if I'm wrong. All I have is the Instagram account. And the winner of this event, Luka Jukic, who called it beforehand. We actually talked about that a little bit. Then Georgis Carvas, and then
I actually wanted to see this. I had on my notes Fikowski and Jukic both down for 15:31, and I didn't know which had finished third.
I was going to say much tighter races.
But Brent was in a different heat than Lazar, and they finished within 0.3 of a second of each other. And that's why, if you're Luka Jukic, you don't risk it and you run across the line.
It's that split snatch Fikowski was doing. Saved him those 0.3 of a second.
Okay, so let's
maybe
talk
if
about.
Maybe if he could do a power snatch, he could have made up 3 seconds.
Well, hey, that's. Oh.
Why was he split snatching? Is that the first time you guys have seen that since 2008?
I've never seen that.
I think I know, but I want to know what Chase thinks.
So,
Chase, any speculation?
If his groin is still hurt, that's the only reason why I could see him doing that. Okay, if I were to not, I'm not speaking for Brent, but if I was just looking at what that does, like if you're fatigued enough that you don't want to drop into a full squat, which makes your cycle time slower, which means you can't race people at the end, then you would do, and you can't have the confidence to drop into a power for fear of getting into the squat, then the split, it allows them to get under the bar fast. It allows them to land lower and slow or speed up their cycle time versus squatting it.
Temi is suggesting that it's because they were short bars. I think I'm reading into what he said, but would the short bar play a role in that?
You don't get as much whip through the middle with a short bar. It's very rigid. So what you would normally get, say that have that snap from hip to overhead, you don't get that as much. And so the split again, if Brent, and this is what I mean by receiving the bar low. If you just put Brent's back leg forward, he's right at a parallel squat. It's really hard to receive a power snatch in that position and stand up from that with a secure bar. So that allows him to get lower. It means he doesn't have to work as hard to get the bar as high, and then he can get under the bar faster.
This is what I absolutely love about Brent Fikowski. He goes, it reminds me of Dr. Dre lyrics. Like he goes back to the lab and he does his work there. And once he's found something out, he doesn't tell anyone about it. Mm-hmm. He waits until the optimal moment and he does it on the competition floor. I guarantee you he did 0 split snatches in the warm-up area, but he knew that he was going to do this. And I think it's a combination of what both Temi and Chase are talking about. Brent's one of the tallest athletes in CrossFit, or at least at the highest level. And those bars are a disadvantage for someone like that. You can't get as wide as you want to snatch. And I guarantee you he has one at his garage up in Kelowna, and he's practiced this many times, and he's figured out that if I find myself in a situation, there's certain weights that I can split snatch and be more efficient than power snatch or squat snatch at the end of a workout under fatigue with the stubby bar. And he brought it out here. He's in a great position right now. He's leading the competition. There's $50,000 first place prize. You get, it's a perfect time to bring it out. And I bet you we see someone else do it down the line because of what they saw today.
This reminds me of, because you're right. Like this is what Brent does, is he unveils something he's been working on secretly in competition. We're in 2017 regionals where they had the 10 half-length ropes and everybody would legless rope climb and then get really high and then wrap their feet. And what Fikowski pulled out is this thing I'd never seen before, is he would jump up, pull up and then squeeze the rope with his legs to help get another grip. And we had never seen anybody try that before. And then we saw people start to bring that into competition afterwards. So yeah, you're right, Brian. This, I guess, is a very Fikowski-esque unveiling of something he might be working on back in the lab.
It looks like he's giving Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet credit for what she did in 2014, that he was copying it. And that also he states that those short bars are 9 inches shorter from collar to collar than the regular bars that the rest of us use in our CrossFit.
Dude, he's been holding
gyms.
onto it for 8 years. You don't understand the discipline and patience that takes. My goodness.
It's so great.
All right. If we can look at that one final time, the winners list, and then we will go over to the final workout here.
Did you guys talk about it already and agree that this was not a chipper? It was a 3-round triplet.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if we agreed on the podcast, but I feel like we settled that in the text stream.
Yeah, it's definitely a 3-round triplet.
Yes. The chipper's coming. Don't worry. Even if they haven't announced it yet, there's always one in Dubai.
Okay. Ride or die. It starts with 20 athletes, goes down to 10, and then to 5.
Oh, do you like that name, by the way, Ride or Die, for this workout, Chase?
No, I don't.
Tell me why.
Because you're not riding anything.
The bike.
Oh, we're on the bike. I thought we were talking about. I thought that was that's Get a Grip. Yes, I like Ride or Die. It's a very, very good one. Yeah.
And also, Souza, for later on, earmark Hannah Carlson's Instagram post.
Got it.
Yes, Ride or Die is a very apt name for this one.
20 athletes, then 10 athletes, and 5 athletes. If you survive, you get to go to the second round. If you survive the second round, you get to go to the third round. That's why it's going down. It's basically an elimination event. It starts off with the echo bike and then legless rope climbs, and then it reduces the number of calories each time on the echo bike and reduces the number of legless rope climbs. The time caps are 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and 2 minutes. I feel like we used to never see stuff like this, and now every event has it.
No.
I approve.
Souza. Well, you don't have to pull it up, but I wrote an article about this workout as well. I doubt very many people have seen it. We posted it because Dubai really hadn't actually posted this on their Instagram. It was on their website when the event started, and we wanted to wait to make sure it was out before publishing the article. But I wrote an article that was basically asking if this is the quote-unquote best elimination style workout we've ever seen, and referenced, I think this is right, that the first real elimination workout we ever saw was actually in 2012 at the obstacle course after Pendleton 1 and 2.
Yes.
Oh, I do remember that.
10 years ago that we did see a workout like this. Of course, we've seen elimination style workouts on snatch speed ladder, clean and jerk speed ladder more recently. And it seems to be often with weightlifting. We also did have the speed skill medley this past year at the game. So you're right, Sevan. In modern times, more and more frequent are we seeing elimination style workouts showing up.
But the origins do go back to that Kemp Pendleton obstacle course. That was a cool event.
Damn, Brian, you might be right. Because any other elimination we've had, say outside like Rogue's one, is that, okay, obstacle course, that was you make a mistake and you get knocked out. Not necessarily like your fitness holds you back. On the clean speed ladders or the snatch speed ladders, you're either strong or you're not. It doesn't really matter how fast you are under the movement patterns. The sprint course knockouts that we've seen, you're either fast or you're not, or you're slow.
Or how about this one? No, this one right here.
Oh, right. The
sprint.
Right. Okay. And so all of those really play to a specific athlete. Either fast, strong, or you have some type of skill that nobody else really has in obstacle course. What I like about this one is that you get a little both, as far as the big athletes get the bike, and then the gymnastics athletes can have some speed on the legless rope climbs. There's an element of fitness that's in play here. There's an element of stamina across the rounds that are in play in here. And the more I talk about it, the more I really enjoy this as one of the better knockout ones I've ever seen.
This
we
was
were really
event.
Fortunate.
Go ahead.
We were really fortunate to be able to have Matt Fraser on the broadcast for this. I do think he'll be joining us for one workout tomorrow as well. And I would advise people to go back and listen to that. He actually shares some really good insights into things that I think you'll be really lucky to ever get a chance to hear him talk about. Not just about the design of the workout, but some of the ways that you can maybe attack it, and specifically on how to breathe on the Echo Bike, which I've never really had someone explain to me that way before. One of the things that I asked him about, and that he referenced here, because it was what stood out to me immediately. When we have the elimination workouts, what happens is everyone does round one, but half the people are eliminated and then they're done. And then, people advance on, they have to do it again. And they've done twice the work. Someone advances on, they have to do it again. They've done 3 times the work. And then someone advances again, they have to do 4 times the work. Well, in this case, all of the athletes, for the men, it was 44%, and for the women, it was 50% of the work was done in round one. So you're at least doing half the work, even if you don't make it out of the first round, which is better than doing 25% or 33%.
I like that.
Jeremy Eat World, little behind. How do I get in on this text that Chase speaks of? You're more likely to get kicked off of it than get onto it. Let me just tell you that.
Subscribe to the newsletter and you'll be let in.
Yeah. Yes. Go over to the Sevan Podcast website and sign up for the
text thread.
newsletter.
Yeah, that's what our text thread is. It's actually the newsletter.
It is. I'll tell you this about the text thread. It's really, it evolves each time. But basically, what it is a group of us. It's my personal pool of people to summon to the podcast because we're about 1/5 as organized as the Dubai Fitness Championships, and I just I put up ring the bell for dinner, and people come running.
See who shows up.
And see who shows up, and we just changed the name. I'm going to just start changing the name of the text thread as soon as the Dubai Championships is over. We'll switch to the Open, or no, we'll switch to Wadapalooza. We'll call it Wadapalooza.
Yeah,
and then we'll switch it to the games. Okay, do you have it pinned, Chase? That text thread on the top of your phone?
Can you pin a text thread?
Oh, good, great answer. I like that. I'll teach you how to do that right after. Brian, do you have it pinned?
I don't need to because we get a text like every 5 seconds.
Have it muted.
Dude, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I'm at one of these competitions, an event happens, and I look at my phone, 139 messages. I'm like, who the hell is messaging me? Opening it, and it's like there's 2 things. 138 from this one and 1 from someone else.
Yeah.
138 is you guys.
I'm sure when you wake up in the morning and there's like 462 of them.
Nuts.
Yeah,
I
one
love
of them says,
the
one of them is Chase saying, I hope Brian wakes up to 1,000 messages.
Sevan does. We saw his text. Yes, I do have it pinned at the top, and we've chosen an eyeball as the icon, which I absolutely love.
Shouldn't we go on like Signal or something? Because this text thread does not need to get like taken and spread to the world.
We don't.
I don't know. It's pretty
emails leaked.
I don't need Big Brother reading this text thread.
It's pretty benign. I think it's chill, but that's me.
Yeah, bye for the apology videos.
Like Brian said, the great Matt Fraser, the greatest male CrossFit athlete to ever, be in the game, 5 CrossFit Game championships, joined Brian and Derek, which was very cool. Brian, is there an audience there? The way the lighting is, you can't really tell. It more looks like a theatrical setting, like you're looking at a stage, which is fine. But is there an audience there?
Yeah, there are a few hundred people here. It's a tough weekend. Obviously, the World Cup's going on in Qatar, right next door. There are 2 CrossFit competitions also happening this weekend, more local, but that's obviously pulling away from people who would normally attend, one in the UAE and one in Kuwait, which is also very close. There's also a Rugby Sevens tournament going on here, and it's a national holiday. Getting the Coca-Cola arena that they're using for this is pretty tough. They built it in 2009 because there's always tons of stuff going on in Dubai, so this is the weekend they were able to get it, but it does coincide with several other sporting events that are probably detracting from the attendance that we could have had potentially.
World Cup, that's the sport where the guys won the game but had to share the money with the girls. That's with the
this is the time in the podcast where I start staring at Chase's beard.
The black and white ball on the ground. Okay. Let's look at the leaderboard, or let's look at the leaderboard of this. And anything controversial happened in this, or let's not use the word controversial. Any unknown elements where the Echo bikes actually turned into Schwinn Airdynes, where the ropes actually turned into chains? Did everything go down as?
I'll tell you a funny story. So this workout was briefed today, a couple hours before competition began, and afterwards the athletes were allowed to go on the floor and test out the equipment and whatever, and they were doing some legless rope climbs, and one of the athletes noticed that the ropes were different widths. So I brought it to the attention of the
diameter, the thickness of the rope, they weren't consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, half of them were thick, half of them were thicker than the other ones. So they changed it. They had 10 ropes that were the same. They just had hung 5 that were different. But the athletes noticed it, and then we were able to make the change.
It makes me feel better about my question
by the time
about
the competition happened, everything was uniform.
It makes me feel better about asking if they all use the same bars. Makes me feel.
No, but it's, I mean, it is, it's good. I mean, it's great, obviously, that happens. Bad that it could have potentially been a mistake, but everything was fine in the end.
Okay. The men, Lazar Jukic won. Then Luka Jukic took second. Akai, what's Akai's first name?
Anil.
Akai took third. Brent Fikowski took fourth. Any surprises here?
Yeah, Anil Akai for sure. I mean, Lazar and Luka Jukic, Brent Fikowski, those are easy picks on this workout. I thought they'd probably be the top three. And Anil is a young man from Spain who, made a little breakout appearance at Madrid, taking second place to Lazar. And look, he's had a second and a third place finish. 11 and 13th isn't that bad. We talked about that this might not be the strongest field we've ever had in Dubai, but it's by no means a weak field. And so to have 13th place finish, 2 top 3 finishes halfway through the competition is a very good showing for him so far.
Any errors that cost anyone a placement that they shouldn't have? Did you see anything like someone get no rep? We haven't talked about any no reps, but anyone get no rep for not touching the top? Anyone fall off the rope? Anything like that? Any bikes not work? Anything like that?
No, very clean run on this one.
Fantastic.
I did ask the head judge earlier today if any regulations they're going to impose for the descent of the legless rope climb. Did you have to show control between a mark or anything like that? And he said, nope, racing environment. They're going to try to get through them fast. We'll let them come down any way they want.
Fantastic. I actually love that. I actually was looking at Lazar Jukic come down the rope. It was nuts. It was drop, catch in the middle, drop again. It was savage. I love that. I'd love to see the games adopt that. Less safety, more personal accountability, less forced safety, more accountability. Let's see.
And no injury.
Men will die for seconds, right, Chase?
That's right.
Okay.
Men will die, women will kill.
We are at the fourth event. Chase, what are these athletes feeling? Are they fatigued that it's the fourth event, or do they get a second win knowing that after this they get to go home and lick their wounds
coming into it, or how they're feeling at the end of today?
No, coming into this.
I think coming in, they're probably doing fine. I mean, I actually think the clean ladder probably flushed their legs from the day before pretty good, especially with all the warm-ups that they needed to do with the squats. It was heavy. It wasn't high volume. You got the grip and the core might be a little fatigued. So you could probably see these guys and girls coming into this event a little like feeling what they've done so far, but I wouldn't imagine any of them were hampered in any way.
Brian, any unique wound licking that you saw from the men after event one? We were speculating that that could, do stuff to them that they're completely unfamiliar with. Did you see anything like that?
No, I think what Matt Fraser told me is because there was no eccentric movement in the Burj run or the Burj Khalifa challenge, that the athletes were feeling very, very little to no soreness or fatigue the next day. Something that I hadn't really thought about. Obviously, his knowledge in this domain is far superior to mine. But like I said, the HWPO guys didn't have any soreness 1 or 2 days after. Neither did any of the athletes. The grip workout, could potentially be a factor here because obviously you need your grip to do the legless rope climbs. But I think at this point coming into this workout, what is that?
That I'm telling Chase, tell your wife 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes.
No, it's my son.
8 minutes, sir.
Okay, we're good. He's watching Paw Patrol.
All right. Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's good. I got one here too, watching Sing too. Okay.
It's weird. Him like he's like, isn't your name that? And I was like, yes, but don't call me by my name. Call me Dad.
Okay, Brian. Sorry. The eccentric concentric movement, not sore.
Oh yeah, so not too sore. I think going into this workout, the athletes were still feeling okay, but the design of the competition here, you have a 5-hour window and you're doing workouts. There's not that much turnaround between them. And while it's nice for the structure of the day, it's a challenge to go hard on a workout or go heavy on the workout and only have maybe an hour before you have to do it again. You have to, that's enough time where you're going to come down from it and be kind of relaxed. You got to try to get something in, whether it's liquid carbs or a little bit of sugar, or, whatever your electrolytes. And then you maybe have like 10 or 20 minutes and you got to start thinking about getting ready for the next one. And so that's something that if you don't practice that, being in an environment here, and it's very competitive out there. I mean, there's been, like we said, a lot of small margins and guys doing very well. You may not get used to it. And so now they've had to do that twice getting ready for this final event.
I think the order of events helps the way they put it together. Because like if they did get a grip first and then maybe the hang clean after that and then into the bike, or like doing the hang clean first, like I said, is a good thing to start. It's heavy weight. It's not super intense. And then having that second one and then the sprint style at the end. I think they did a good job putting the events together. Did anybody complain about their like just grip at all between get a grip and ride or die?
No, I think that for some athletes, I could see the last, 20 toes to bar or so, they were, not looking as comfortable on the bar, but I don't think it had much of an effect overall. But I will tell you, this last workout was devastating.
Yeah. The one thing I was curious is I feel like in the first round, everyone is a little gun shy on the bike. I mean, obviously nobody wants to sprint 40 and 30 cals on the Echo bike, but it seemed like everybody was a little shy dipping into that intensity on the first round across the board. I thought I would have for sure seen at least one person, full pulsing their way through the first cals on the Echo bike.
Any women get stopped on the legless? Any men get stopped on the legless in the first round? Did you see anyone just look up after, 2 legless and just be like,
No, once again, all of the athletes were able to finish the first round underneath the 4-minute time cap.
Great programming. Awesome. I absolutely love it. Okay. Let's look at the men's leaderboard for ride or die. Okay. And we did this already. Lazar Jukic, Luka had won the previous event, take second place in this one. Okay. Let's go over to the women. Karen. Okay. Hannah Carlson. Susie, can we check out her Instagram, as Mr. Friend had mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
And just a little note here. I don't know if you guys heard on the broadcast, but Simone Montella had to withdraw from the competition for personal reasons. Hannah Carlson is his significant other. She chose to stay and compete today, and man, did she have an incredible day. I had a chance to talk to her walking back from the venue, and she may not be very well known of a name, but she says she's the opposite of Simon. He loves training and he's kind of so about competing. She is not so big on the training. I mean, she does it. She loves competing, and look at this smile right here, and look what she had to say about the workout.
That's cool.
Ride or die. I rode hard. I didn't die. Really quick, you can leave this up real quick, Susan. I just want to address Temmie. Temmie is saying that one of the guys didn't finish the rope climbs in round 1. A little bit shocking to me that it would be a guy with the upper body pulling. Who would that have been? Do you remember who, Temmie? Yeah, she is jacked. So her boyfriend pulled out because of some not an injury, but some sort of personal issue, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And she stayed in.
Oh, Vladimir Sashin. He's right. Thank you, Temmie.
Hmm.
And we actually talked about that on the broadcast too. My fault for forgetting that. I made a little joke with Matt Fraser that Vladimir shouldn't feel bad about that. There have been some great athletes in this sport that have had hard times with legless rope climbs as well.
But Brian, you're not surprised that it's a man and then a woman. Aren't men usually a little bit better at that upper body pulling? That's, by the way, that's a joke for those of you who don't know. At Matt Fraser's first year at the CrossFit Games.
Hey, some of the greatest athletes to ever do this sport had a problem with a rope climb.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Fraser, we had a little laugh about it, but he said, no, you're absolutely right. There are three past champions of the CrossFit Games that have at one point in their career stood staring at the rope and not sure what to do in competition.
Who are they?
Katrin, Matt.
Oh, Rich.
The first year. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Good company.
Scott Polensky, proud of you, Brian. You're killing it. That's condescending. Anytime someone says they're proud of you, that means they're being condescending. Scott, not cool. Not cool. You're not his daddy, Scott. Cool.
Well, then, Brian, I'm sorry. I've texted that to you before, but I did genuinely mean that.
I've been damaged by Dave.
Like that backhand. Good job on your little competition.
Well, Dave's proud of you is a lot different.
Yes.
Than a real like dad's proud of you.
He's patting you on the head, not on the ass.
Yeah. Like that was cute.
Yeah.
Nice try.
Brian, why do you say she's having a good day? I think I saw a 4th, a 9th, and a 1st. How is that a good day?
Can we go to the leaderboard?
If we go to the leaderboard, did I see her? You're saying relatively for her, or you think maybe I saw the numbers wrong here? Hannah Carlson.
She's in third place in the competition.
Pretty good.
She got a fourth, a ninth, and a
She's in
first.
third place overall in this competition. The only women ahead of Karen Frey and Jamie Simmons.
All right,
I
she
picked
got
her
it ninth.
last, by the way. I picked her last out of 20 women. She's in third.
Oh,
Oh.
even better.
Damn.
Does she know that you picked her last?
That's why he's giving her
Probably
love
why.
on the Instagram.
Don't know.
She does now. Okay. Second place is Dana Perrin, the only athlete there from the United States. Congratulations. That's awesome. She got a second. Karen Frey, absolutely murdering it. A sixth, a first, and a third. In sixth place, one of, I think, many people's favorites in this field is Matilda Garnes, 8th, 16th, 7th, and then a third. Jamie Simmons took 5th in this event, but she has a 1st, 11th, 3rd, and 5th. Thoughts on the women? Pretty impressive that they all got. Did they all get through all the rope climbs? All the ones that made it, like in the ones that
I think
progressed?
I think all the women were able to complete all the rope climbs in every round. And for me, obviously Carlson, incredible here. For the women, especially the ability to get off the bike early, especially the rounds went on with only 2 and 1 legless rope climbs, proved to be advantageous. She's one of the bigger athletes out there competing. She was great on the bike and good enough on the legless rope climbs to get the win. Dana Perrin was the woman that really impressed me here, though. She has an Olympic weightlifting background, no barbell in sight in this workout, and she's taken second place in it. So hats off to Dana.
It is a very short time domain, you'd say, though, right? What was the rest they got in between?
Yeah, but there's legless rope climbs are hard.
Yeah, leg power, grip strength. You can see that.
Time domain in between. This is another feature of this workout that I really liked. One of the most frustrating things for spectators when they watch elimination workouts is the time between heats.
Mm-hmm.
How did HWPO address that? The women will go, then the men will go. And while the men are going, the women are not only resting, but the scorekeepers can do their job and make sure to have that ready to go so that when the men are done, they can announce the next 10 women up and everything flows smoothly without those without those long breaks in between rounds.
Did they call Luca as the winner? Oh, it was just in one of the heats he beat Lazar, but overall he didn't win.
Yeah, this is we talked about Luca earlier being very well aware of the other competitors in the field. He also told me on this workout, he goes, I pushed it 3 seconds too fast on the last 20 cals on the Echo bike. He was the winner in round 1, 40-4. He was the winner in round 2, 30-3. He was first off the bike, first up the rope on the first rep, but he had to take a break. And I think it was a smart break, actually, because he knew he needed that extra couple breaths, and that allowed his brother to pass him.
Great structure of this event, says Temi. Great job by Hard Work Pays Off. Matt Fraser, Matt O'Keefe, Jake Marconi, and the gang. Mike Halpin, looks like Hard Work Pays Off. Learned a lot from the issues at Rogue. Texas Oak lift times, bracket delays, all fixed, and better color commentary. I'm really happy everyone's getting to finish. But before we go, 2 things. What is the first workout tomorrow that starts at 4 a.m. their time, or 4 p.m. your time and 4 a.m. my time?
The order of the workouts for tomorrow has not been announced, but
of course, why would they?
But 2 of the workouts have been announced for tomorrow.
If you do see the prince, tell him I approve of the way he's running this, and I think he's a very attractive man, and I swear he's Armenian and not Dubai, whatever he thinks he is. He looks Armenian as all get out. I bet you he's got Armenian in his blood. He's definitely dated an Armenian woman. Okay, so we don't know what's going to be starting tomorrow, but listen, we're watching the rise of a future star of the CrossFit Games in Luka Jukic. And we're watching the decline of 2 great CrossFit athletes. So this might be the last time you ever see them compete in Janikowski and Brent Fikowski. You're watching, these are horses with fractured limbs. They could be put down after this. Taken out into the field and shot. And finally, we're watching a complete unknown. We're watching the curse of Pat Vellner being passed on to poor Lazar Jukic. In the desert out in the middle of Dubai. These are important things to notice, the nuances. The curse has been passed, poor Lazar. and Luka Jukic is the future of Serbia. Go ahead.
And that's a clip.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian. What do you got to say?
I'll say two things in response to that. One, I mentioned I spoke with Luka today, and I told him I thought this was the best individual day of competition that I've ever seen him have, and he acknowledged something similar, saying this has been a really hard year for him, and that he felt like today, between the PR on the lifting and obviously the great execution and first and second place finish on those other two workouts, that this was an opportunity for him to show with the things that he's been working on. He reiterated that the training camp that he and Laz had leading into this was really, really good for him. And he also mentioned that just by placing first and second on those workouts today, he'd won as much prize money as all the other competitions he's done this year, which is like 6 or 8 competitions. So on a lot of different fronts, this is really good for him. We've talked about the fact that his parents are here watching this weekend, but he also said, we're only at the halfway point and I got more to show tomorrow.
$3,000 to win. Chase, are we? What do you think? Luka Jukic, the curse of Pat Vellner, and this 3 events that Lazar has been.
The Serbian Vellner.
Yeah, I mean, Lazar is he's got it. I mean, and Fikowski and Kozki, are we watching? Is this the beginning? Are we? No, we've already seen the beginning of the end. Is this the end of these guys?
I think Fikowski just needs a healthy run. He was banged up in 2021, and then 2022, obviously, just nothing really went his way that year. For Luka, he needs to put it all together. All right, he had a pretty decent lowlands, but he couldn't keep it from end to end from the competition. So he needs to, and you'd be surprised what that looks like, right? Lazar is very consistent. If you get like Vellner, right? He maybe has something that knocks him down, but he's so consistent and has his home run shots, and he's good end to end across the competition. With Luka, there is a massive element for athletes sometimes when they compete way better not in the lead. So say maybe that first bad start was the best thing for Luka. So now all the pressure of doing well is off, and so he doesn't get in his own head. What is Luka going to do if he's in the top 3 or top 2 or maybe in the top position going into the final event? How is that going to affect his psyche? How is that going to affect his emotions on the competition floor? You see that a lot with athletes, the ones that do better in online competition because they don't have the pressure of live competition. I'm curious if Lazar is more of that gamer, like we talked about with some of these athletes, versus Luka, that can he keep this loose, fun, good competitiveness when he's now in the spotlight versus trying to chase his way up the leaderboard?
Chase, incredible insight there. He referenced exactly this this evening. He said he was second place after day 1 at Lowlands and didn't end well. He said he was second place at day 1 after Madrid, didn't end well. The fact that he was in such a bad position after the first 2 events this time around, he called it competing free, and he felt really comfortable doing that today. Now the pressure's on and people have a little bit of expectation, so he needs to answer the toll tomorrow too.
Also competes well like that is Pat Vellner.
Yep.
He does. Like Pat always screwed up when he was fighting it out with Matt, and then he'd have like a 34th place finish, and then he'd climb back into the top 2 after 6 events.
Mike Halpin, has Sevan seen the leaderboard when saying Brent is finished? Well, let's look at the leaderboard before we say goodbye to you guys until tomorrow. Unless I do another
Unless we
podcast.
get frisky this evening and hop on here after your
after my day at the beach.
Tour to beach drink.
Brent Fikowski sitting in first place with 325 points. Moritz Fiebig in second place. Alex Katulis in third place. Don't tell me.
Sevan, do you remember we were doing the preview show? And I mentioned that there was one guy that everyone was giving me a hard time about picking to finish 4th.
No.
You don't remember that?
No
one's surprised that you don't remember that. It was Moritz Fiebig. Now, we're not saying that he's going to finish there, but he is off to a good start.
Okay. I think I do remember now that you're saying that. In fourth place, we have
Anyol Akai.
Damn. Anyol. Damn, I knew I wrote it down phonetically. Anyol. Anyol Akai, and in fifth place, Con Porter. By the way, I do want to notice that it sounds like Anyol Akai, when we made fun of him on this show, it doesn't sound like he's going to go to the internet with it and be all offended, even though it is probably one of the more offensive things I could say about anyone. Very bizarre.
That's good. No petitions for Sevan. How nice.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. of all the shit that's come out of your mouth.
Brent Fikowski, what a stud. A treat for everyone there to watch one of the greatest CrossFitters. Definitely probably top. Where is Brent right now, Brian? In top 10 all-time male CrossFitters. Definitely in the top 10, right?
6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. Maybe.
Yeah. Very cool. And let's go over to the women. And Con Porter, always love for Con Porter, bringing his own special energy to every single event. There's no doubt. Karen Cotton, whatever, Frey, super duper impressive. Absolutely fun to watch. Jamie Simmons at it again. Hannah Carlson, sticking it out through hard times. And down in 5th place.
What? We skipped over 4th place.
Yeah, because I don't really know her.
Well, let me educate you on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Oyana Moya.
Lone Spaniard out there.
Oyana Moya, I hope that she's able to finish this competition well. She most likely would have placed in the top 10 at Wadapalooza last year if not having a little wrist injury on Saturday. She had been trying to recover from that for a majority of the season. She did okay, made the last chance qualifier at the low-length throwdown, but still wasn't competing 100%. She did tell me she was coming into this one feeling very good. We know how strong she can be. Pretty consistent for 3 workouts, not so good on the bike and legless rope climb. I would expect that to be her worst finish, but sitting in a great position after 4 events.
And what a fabulous country to visit, Spain. So I'll give it that. Emily Rolfe had to leave the games early this year, could not finish, correct? After an injury. A fantastic athlete to watch. Always is a threat in wherever she goes. I'm happy to see her doing well. 3, 17, 5th, and 7th. And you could never, ever, I don't think, count her out. This pedigree that these games athletes bring is, and this experience is the real deal. Okay. Hopefully we will see you guys tomorrow. What a treat it was. Thank you so much to Brian Friend and Chase for both coming on last minute. Actually, even Matt Souza, everyone, we pulled this together in the last hour, 2:11 a.m. My God. Brian, love you. Guys, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for all the money you donated on the show. That was really kind of you guys.